And the 6'1" wing, John Olinger. And a number 2.
His nickname for the Linfield varsity, the Quiet Assassin.
Well, immediately he gets the trip. The tip goes to the Wildcats, and immediately it's Brian Murphy with the bucket. And they took less than 10 seconds to score. You saw the starting lineup, this backcourt with John Olinger, number 20, and Drew Miller with the ball there now, working on a tight man-to-man with Steve Taylor in there. Stuvland left side to Ian Mansfield. John Olinger, one of the league's top scorers, in a 5-3 ball game. You got to understand, radio guys, we talk a little bit more, so we'll probably have a little more banter going on here than normal. We don't do a whole lot of TV, but happy to have the invite from John Piper and Capital Community TV, and always happy to be part of that group. As Linfield looking to work off a screen out front, that's Steve Taylor. Dish it out front, nearly the steal from Stuvland, and Monagle, great ball handling, but just can't hang on to it there. And Olinger there to scoop up the loose trash and comes up with it, dishing it to Drew Miller. Stuvland looking up on top to the free throw line, and here's Gorelts has got a great shot. He can hit the long three out front, as can Mansfield, who has the ball now. But there's the man that shoots the three, John Olinger. 19 points a game. There's 15 points a game, and that's the CJ shot. Lock that ball out of the dribbler's hand as he dribbles by him. Heffron on the inbounds play, fall-away jumper, and Mansfield controlling the boards. If you would have seen a picture of Mansfield last year compared to this year, the upper body much bigger and stronger. Bearcats push it to Miller. Three-point threat all the way around with CJ Stuvland, Olinger, and Miller. Anytime they touch the ball, they're destined to shoot a three if they can. Miller controls now to Olinger. Looking to get uncorked. Free throw line jumper, and nothing but Miller there for the rebound. And then on the other side of the ball, Joe Wells out of North Salem.
Cats have the lead by 2, but Linfield has already turned the ball over on 3 occasions.
Low post to Mansfield, caught off balance in the air. Boy, he made himself a nice big silk purse out of that Salzier. Put it up high and in, and it's a tie game at 10 again. Ian Mansfield. Mansfield right now with 3 on the night. Linfield, as Bill said earlier, not afraid to answer quickly, and they did almost right there. Jumper out of the hopper from Murphy, and Olinger picks it up and goes coast to coast, laying it up and down, falling down. 2 off on the inside. And the 1-point lead, the 3-point lead or 4-point lead disappears to 1 here. As David Feifel between the circles and very high post as they'll pop out. Olinger's not gotten hot. Here's a 24-footer. That's what I'm talking about. On the run last week in Whitman, 2 breakaway steals for buckets, and then Olinger came down and hit 2 back-to-back threes right after that and ran Whitman right out of their own gym.
And the second three-pointer of the night for the Bearcats.
Joe Wells caught up there by Barron, but able to dish it off, and there's Fife with a little flick and a block. And he's the leading scorer on the team right now with 7 points. It's a 21-16 spread. Very quickly breaking away. Ian Mansfield, well in front of the basket, thought he was going to be able to jam it. Came up short, couldn't get it to roll down.
Those are the shots, Mike, you just have to finish. Those will give coaches gray hairs right there. When you go to the hoop with a power move, you've just got to finish it.
Taylor will play a little catch, and now they go back to Taylor. Long 3 from him, right
for the Wildcats. So, again, great battle. Willamette gets ahead by about 6-7 points, and the Wildcats just come right back, and just a good competitive ball game, which, again, standard operating procedure for the Bearcats and the Wildcats.
Olinger back into the game, got his hair back, pulled back, and he hits the quick jumper right off the bench, his trademark. He is due for a quick catch and release long ball 3 here shortly. 29-26, the lead extended back, and Ian Mansfield back into the game, replacing David Fife. Nice pass to Joe Wells, and he walked with it again. Joe had, but Stuvland will get the call, and the 3 guards and even the replacement guards that come in just really hawk that ball and handle it well, like John Olinger right there. Again, the same 15-footer again. You let him free, he's going to burn you, and he did. And by the way, that hair on John Olinger is not for style, it's not for show, it's not to say, hey, look at me. It's a serious purpose behind that, and I'll tell you about it a little later on. In the right corner for Linfield now, trailing by 5 partially. I thought it was partially blocked by Olinger, but the ball is loose off of a miss. But Joe Mansfield, so a pretty stellar outfit out there. With 3:17 to go, and if Linfield will get that ball back. Van Loon has handled the ball well from long range tonight. Goodman will direct traffic around to Monagle. Drew Miller's had his share of steals with that little move you just saw right there. 14 Miller on the D. Bump it up to Van Loon. Double team, not going to give it to him. We're going to force that long ball if they can. 10 seconds on the shot clock. Comes the drive. Monagle slick. I thought that was going down for well. But good rebound Pacific last night. Hit 10 out of 11. Still remains 31-28. Nearing the 2.5-minute mark here. And Brennan Gareltz will come in as soon as there's a stop and play. Goodman looks to be the playmaker, but there's the man who they're going to give the ball to as much as they can. Monagle back to Goodman. Ian Mansfield there to come down with it. Mansfield got a technical foul for after a swat. He swatted the ball out of bounds against Pacific and got nailed for the technical, and he felt terrible about that because he'd said something silly. Hand off to Stuvlin, who's back, and here's Johnny O from left side. John Olinger up into that double figure area right there. 14 points here, making it a 34-31 game. They need a few more of those threes to extend that gap between they and the Wildcats. Nearly the steal. Olinger controlling it. Look at that on his knees with one hand. He and Smith battling defensively, and he's that could be a highlight in itself. Olinger, one of the nicest, non-egotistical young men I think in this one of them in the conference is as talented as he is, and that's John. Credits that a lot to his faith and his upbringing. Over to CJ. Nice screen, but CJ will drive on it nonetheless, but he gets his pocket pick. But the reach in, I'll tell you, if I'm the Linfield Wildcats, Bearcats have caught up, making it 8. Free throw is missed. Gareltz tried to tip it back to Stuvlin, and Smith stepped right up into the gap. And now Olinger picks his pocket. It's a one-on-one. 1-on-2. What's Johnny O going to do? Take it to the rack. Barron with the rebound in a crowd. Now clears it out, and here's where the 2s and 3s come around. A little scoop to the hoop on CJ's part. Look at Garelt's battle for it in a crowd. Monagle just very, very dependable. He's got 6.
Well, that time he left John Olinger really in the parking lot that time. He really did. John just was left just looking at Ryan Monagle, and Larry Doty just expecting Ryan to really be the team leader as a senior this year and the only returning starter for the Wildcats.
John Olinger backdoor from Brennan Gareltz, and Olinger now with 16 to lead all scores. Back to the 3-point lead as we're about a minute and a half into the second half of play here from Sparks Center at Willamette University. Kateem Smith gets around much more speed than a lot of fellas on that team, but misses the layup, and Mansfield pulls it down with a slap and a push. Miller to Ian and back to Drew. Miller, a pretty good top of the key kind of player. He can dribble out of a problem if he needs to. Uses both hands. And speaking of backdoor cuts, Drew Miller, 7% free throw shooter. Now a 4-point lead here. And controlling out front is Steve Taylor out of South Salem High School, number 32. For the Wildcats, there's Monagle working Drew Miller. Gordy James says you do not guard the man, you guard the ball. And that's how he teaches everybody from his clinic and his 9-year-olds in the clinic all the way up to these 21-year-olds. Looking out front for the long shot, and nice touch. 39-38, a 1-point lead here for the Bearcats, and Olinger finding Drew Miller going cutting inside, and a nice.
They're not carried away with the big egos, Mike. They just love to play the game, but academics come first. And these are just some quality character young men that are going to be really the productive people of society in the years to come.
Well, let's hope they're more productive than we've been. You know what I mean on that one there, big guy?
No, I'm not going to comment on that, Mike.
All right.
I'm really not.
Bearcats looking out. Now Drew Miller with a hand in his face. The best way for Drew to hit it with a hand in my face. That time he pulls up. Off the high post. Linfield just talented. Even though you've lost all that talent, they are building on the talent they have here. And I like the mix that Larry's got on the floor right now. The young guy's playing very well, the freshman.
And this might just be
there it is.
The youngest team. Monagle on the steal. Or check it, Olinger all the way down.
And Olinger follows through, and I'll roll that ball. Watch this. A little tip, nothing but fingertip action on the ball. Normally, John Olinger, as you can already see, he finishes on something like this, but not able to do it this time. But
and certainly
Olinger's first free throw, 3.